We're saluting horror in July.
Watch how you
month.
say that.
Yeah, I know. You got to be careful. It's 2 syllables. Horror. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was part of the game.
It
I
is.
usually have to do this by myself. So.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Technically, more than 4 people can just hold the glass up. So we are joined in the Torpedo Room, Chris, by Brad Keefe, Columbus Alive. Thank you, Brad, for coming.
Pleasure to be
Gina
here.
Heartless, co-owner of Necro Girls and Haunted Hoochie actress. What is Necro Girls? Gina?
Necro Girls is an Ohio-based magazine, but we take submissions from all over the country, and it's all about horror and models and all
Horror
kinds of
and models.
Yeah,
Horror and model.
So
Great.
pretty much the greatest magazine in the history of all time.
I'd like to think it's up there.
Don't tell Brad. And this is Jason Tostevin, Columbus's most celebrated filmmaker.
Ohio's winningest filmmaker.
Listen,
I give you one line.
I go by both.
Semantics. Welcome,
Okay.
Jason.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Brad, you want to start? We're going to talk about the best horror films of the last 10 years. And what is 1 or 2 of your favorites?
Cabin in the Woods. Terribly underrated. Kind of came and went. It had a big opening week, and it's definitely got a cult following. I mean, I think any horror fan who's seen it, it
People
resonates
love this
with.
movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys talk about it all the time here.
Well, I think Brad's right. It's highly celebrated, and I actually think way too celebrated.
Uh-oh.
And I think that it got way too much attention for being meta, because I actually don't think meta is clever. And I don't like that movie. I don't know if that was coming across or not.
I thought
wanted
you
to
never
be
met a
explicit.
horror film that you didn't like.
Well, I think you might be able to argue it ain't a horror movie.
So you didn't like Cabin in the Woods. What would your choice be as the
Well,
best?
I saw my favorites of the last 2 years here at the Gateway Film Center. I saw MANIAC last year, which was my favorite of that year. And the year before that, I saw Simon Killer, which was not often seen. And I recommended it to people, and they sort of went like, well, I don't really get that that's a horror movie. And if I have to pick one, I'm going to go with Let the Right One In. I'd say that's my favorite of the last 10 years.
It's definitely a movie that kind of gets inside of your head.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little emotionally upsetting and challenging.
It was.
Gina, what else is on your list?
I really liked American Mary too. I thought that was pretty original, and it kind of gives you like the girl that kicks ass kind of thing. And the Soska sisters are amazing. It was really gory. There were some parts I didn't like about it, but for the most part, it was pretty awesome.
So Johnny, did you have an answer to the question? We haven't really talked about what your favorite horror film was.
No. I don't see as many horror films as I'd like. I do love horror films, and in fact, I can't watch them alone because then I can't walk past a window. I can't take a shower. I'm just kind of, petrified in my house alone. But I did enjoy Cabin in the Woods. I did think it was a fun sort of, I might agree with Jason and disagree. I don't think it was a horror film. I think it was a black comedy masquerading as a horror film. But I do like what Joss Whedon did with it. And
Andrew Goddard.
yeah, I mean, he's the director,
he-
but I mean,
he
it's
deserves
Joss
more love.
Whedon's
For sure.
vision.
For sure.
What about you?
Since 2004, the best horror film I saw was Inside. Because in addition to being absolutely terrifying, which I watched half that movie through my hands, it's a great film. The screenplay's great, the way it's shot is great, the story's incredible. And then I really like Drag Me to Hell. I share Brad's affection for Cabin in the Woods, but Drag Me to Hell is so great. It's scary and funny and smart, and it really it does a good job being what so many really terrible horror films that the studios put out fail to. So
The Descent, I think, is one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years, horror films of the last 10 years, because I love monster movies, and we don't see enough monster movies. And that movie, the Spelunking Girls, or the Spelunking Girls, as depending on your pronunciation preference. They go down these, I love the imagery, they're
look
going
at your
down.
hands. Look at your hands. They go down.
They go down into
these-
these womb-like caverns, and then
can't
there are
help
these
yourself. You can't help
weird
yourself.
worm-like phallic guys chasing them.
Yeah.
And it's
Brad,
grotesque.
did you see The Descent?
It's a literal fear of the dark.
Right. Don't you feel like that's almost like
yeah.
2 films?
Yeah.
I was terrified before those faceless zombie dudes
Yes.
showed up.
Right.
Like just when they were
Being
crawling.
buried alive.
Right.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Fear of the dark and claustrophobia and a good character setup that you actually care about the women in the cave
And all that womb imagery.
and all the
It's,
women.
it's women going
forget
inside of their
about
own
the
wombs.
Right.
And then she emerges at the end,
Yes.
but does she?
It's like a birth.
I think the
Out of
working
the
title was
concrete.
actually "Womb Without a View."
Yeah,
I see what you
Very
did.
good.
Yeah.